Using nitrogen fertilizer is really inevitable for farming. They have to use it. But how to use it and then understanding the consequence of using it, I think it's very important. There's another, climate consequences of using nitrogen fertilizer, and we haven't really considered it.
Make a clap for me. Perfect.
My name is Hyojin Kim, and I'm a senior researcher at GEO's Geochemistry Department. So the project started 2021, and the key question was that because when nitrate released from the agriculture field to groundwater, it converts to N2, which is just inert gas. But that process, it can create CO2. And then the CO2 source is actually very stable geological carbon, for example, carbonate or organic carbon. So it will release CO2, but no one looked into this CO2 source. So we started out a question like how much of CO2, this geological CO2, will be released back into the atmosphere due to nitrogen leaching from the agriculture field. This might be a little bit complicated. If you imagine soil on top here, and then water and then nitrogen, rain comes, it takes water and then nitrate together, leaching and then percolating down to groundwater table. And then groundwater table, all kinds of biogeochemical processes going on. Microbes will take up oxygen first, and then when oxygen is completely gone, following through the groundwater pathway, then microbes will start to use nitrate. Then all this process kind of builds up PCO2, like partial pressure level of CO2 in groundwater. Groundwater eventually emerges back to the surface water. Then because it has such a high PCO2 level compared to the atmospheric level, it will degas CO2 when it emerges back to the surface water. So that's how CO2 travels from agriculture field all the way to the stream and then to the estuary. So we applied two different approaches. The first one is more geochemical-oriented method. So it's called stable isotope. So carbon and then nitrogen, depending on their sources, it has a different labels, for example, messes. So we can, by collecting samples for carbon and then nitrogen samples, we can actually find different labels to trace where this carbon is coming from, where this nitrogen is coming from, so that we can identify. So to do this geochemical approach, we need samples, we need water samples, and also we need gas samples. So I usually go out in the field and then take water sample, like a big bucket of water sample, or for groundwater, we just pump water up, filter it. That's water sample. And then gas sample, we want dissolved gas. So take a water sample in a syringe or something, and then just to give a little bit of headspace, and then we shake it, really, really good shake. And then it makes like this air in the headspace and then water is kind of equilibrium. So we take this gas sample into the small sample vial, we call the exertainers, and then that's the gas sample, dissolved gas samples, and then we send it to the lab, and then they just analyze the concentrations and then the isotopes, the labels. So the other method is basically modeling. So modeling, if we know where water goes and then where nitrate goes along, and then where nitrate disappears in the subsurface, then putting all this information together, we can actually quantify how much nitrogen is disappearing in the subsurface by what process. That information can give us to estimate or calculate how much of CO2 will be released by denitrification in groundwater. Is it significant, right? That's a very important question. Luckily, it's not extremely significant, but it's just too big to dismiss it. That's how I think. Yeah. As far as I know, this is the first study try to quantify how much CO2 will be released by denitrification. Hoping that there are more studies around the world, and then really just confirm, and then just showing more examples, or showing more cases that yes, we have to calculate, or we have to include this CO2 emission by denitrification. We really need to think about this CO2 emission due to nitrogen pollution. Those kind of studies continues, then eventually we can just find a way to quantify it and then handle it.